G'day and welcome to Astralis, an Origin Edition add-on. This technically says it's for Forge in the actual title of the mod itself, but it also has a Fabric version that contains all the same content as the Forge version supposedly does, though I'm not sure of the differences between Forge Origins and Fabric Origins as of yet. I really should look into that at some point, shouldn't I? Either way, we're going to be going through the Astralis Origin collection today. The idea of this one is just to add a bunch of celestial-themed origins to your set. They also conclude a bit of lore tidbits and shenanigans along those lines, as well as some of them have the ability to evolve into different origins. It's honestly pretty intriguing, so let's get into it. Starting off with the two single impact origins, we first start off with the Pacifist. Gentle in nature, but unshakably resilient, the Pacifist seeks harmony over havoc. Violence weakens them, but their calming presence empowers allies and disarms foes. They mend wounds, soothe anger, and bloom in peace, but aggression has a cost. Peaceful, you have no malicious intent, more HP, but less damage. When compared to the basic Minecraft player, you have 15 total hearts rather than the usual 10, aka meaning that you've got 30 total hit points rather than the usual 20. I'm not entirely sure what it means by more HP but less damage. Well, I do know the more HP part, but less damage I don't quite understand, because when comparing a wooden sword critical hits, iron sword critical hits, netherite sword critical hits to the husk, I'm doing more damage with all three swords with the Pacifist Origin enabled than when compared to that of a normal person. If I swap over to a human real quick, I'll just compare it to you. For a wooden sword, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 critical hits. For an iron sword, it takes 1, 2, 3 critical hits. For a netherite sword, it takes 1, 2 critical hits. But if I swap back down to a pacifist, flip back to survival mode, we do it again. 1, 2, 3 critical hits instead of 4. There's an iron bar there. 2 critical hits instead of 3. And then the usual 2 critical hits of a netherite sword, because that doesn't change much. Though we could compare it to non-critical hits with a netherite sword. That's 3. I didn't change in creative mode. And now it's 2 hits with the netherite sword. So maybe there's some quirks with this origin, but this less damage thing doesn't seem to be working as intended. Your next ability is bipolar. You can switch personalities, pacifist to genocide. We'll get to that in a moment, but you can switch with your primary ability key, which is bound to G by default. And angelic. You are a pacifist. The gods grant you the power of walking on water. With the angelic ability, it truly does mean walk on water, because the moment you hit the water, you will stop sprinting completely, and you can no longer sprint whilst on water, because the game's interpreting it that you're actually swimming in the water, if you can't tell by the sound effects in the subtitles there. And so you can't sprint on water unless you're fully submerged. Fortunately, you cannot press shift to sink into the water, you just can't enter water whatsoever, so you can slowly walk across the gap. Anyhow, flicking back to the ability before, bipolar, you can switch personalities. You can press G. You can tell which personality you currently are based upon the color of the changed text, and also the amount of hearts you have, because that also noticeably changes. Red indicates that you're in the Genocide Origin, and green means you're in the Pacifist Origin. So let's flick over to the Genocide one and explain that one a little bit more. There's also a single impact origin. Fueled by hatred and hardened by bloodshed, the genocide walks a path of ruin. Every slain foe strengthens their resolve, but empathy fades with each step. They are faster, stronger, and more ruthless the more they kill, but peace only brings weakness. Murderer, you have malicious intent, less HP, but more damage. As you can see here, we've got 8 hearts rather than the usual 10, and rather than the 15 that the pacifist has, meaning that you only have a total of 16 hit points. Going back to testing our methods with a husk. 1, 2, 3. 1. That's not a crit hit, so I won't count that. 1, 2. Still 2 hits. 1, 2. Yep. 1, 2. It's the exact same damage increase that we saw with the pacifist. Something tells me that the damage increase that we'll see with the pacifist before is what's meant to be for the genocide, and the Pacifist Origin is not meant to have that damage increase, but instead have the damage decrease. So maybe a little bug there. Bipolar, same as before, and fueled by fire. You're a maniac. You're immune to lava and fire. Fortunately, we got some lava and fire over here. Well, the fire's long gone now. It burnt down the trees over here. But if we just waltz on over here, we can just walk in lava like it's nobody's business. This ability does not increase your vision inside of lava, nor does it give you the ability to swim faster in lava. You just continue to move the exact same pace that you'd usually do in lava, whilst being completely immune to it, and also fire, of course. Now we move into the True Impact Origins, which is basically the rest of the origins that you can pick by default, because none of the ones that you evolve into are here, for obvious reasons. First, we start off with the Subspaced Origin, a player who fell into the void, traveling across multiple sub-dimensions. Sub-dimension, you spawn in the end. This one is pretty self-explanatory, and I will just present this method of dying and respawning its... Gotta love it when things don't work as intended. Nope. Again, we figured out another bug. Flicking over to the Forge version of this mod, let's compare some of the quirks I've already seen so far. Here we got the Pacifist Origin. Let's see how much damage it does with its weapons. It still seems to be roughly the same amount of damage as it was before. So the additional damage that the Genocide Origin gets has also been applied to the Pacifists. Flicking to the Subspaced Origin, if I die, I will still respawn in the overworld. So this is just a general bug with the actual mod itself. But so far, all the bugs that we've encountered in the Fabric version seemingly are present in the Forge version. Let's flick back. Clearly the idea here is that you're meant to spawn in the end, but that is unfortunately not working. We will teleport to the end if there is an origin that's an ability that will take advantage of it, but let's go over these things. Strong Soul, you have more hearts, +2. We flick to Survival. As you can see, okay, that's interesting. As you can see, we've got 12 hearts instead of the usual 10, which means you have 24 hit points instead of 20. You have a constant strength, +2 damage. Go back to our comparison before. We get a zombie, well, husk. 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's about the same strength increase when compared to the Genocide/Pacifist strength increase. Granted, you might notice it more or less on higher health mobs. I'm just using Husk as an example because they're the most commonplace type of mob you'll find, because they're just zombies that don't burn in the day. More useful for visuals. Wise, you have Creative Flight. I mean, is there anything else to explain here? It's the fly from creative mode, and you have that permanently, and you don't, which also means that it takes away your ability to take fall damage. Let's take a test quick here. Braking speed on ground. Braking speed while flying. Yes, you still have the weird quirk with creative flight, the whole water braking speed thing. But unlike any form of underwater braking, Aqua Affinity doesn't seem to actually affect this one. Because if I roll onto here, you can see that I'm braking as fast as you'd usually brake dirt for the most part. It's definitely nowhere near as slow as what it would be. So we'll double check that one. Yeah, Aqua Affinity is definitely affecting my existence in the water while flying, but it doesn't affect my mining speed without water. Enderborn, you take damage in the water. Well, clearly that wasn't exactly affecting me as it should either. I mean, here I am sitting in the water, not taking any form of damage whatsoever. If we move back to the Forge version, the same thing also applies. I am not taking damage in the water, even though the Origin clarifies that I'm supposed to. For testing's sake, because I've not removed the vanilla Origins in the Forge version, obviously it does not lift the ability from the Enderian, because the Enderian still takes damage when it hits water. Again, yet another Origin bug present in both the Fabric and Forge version of this mod. Skipping over Moonborn and Sunborn for now, because they do have a little bit more to them as they can evolve, we'll hop over to the Foxkin Origin. This is another True Impact Origin. Foxkin are nimble, sly beings with a deep connection to the wild. Born to dodge danger and weave through tight spaces, they excel at staying just out of reach. With keen senses and quick reflexes, they vanish into tall grass or blink between trees. Some say they can charm monsters or lead lost travelers in circles for days. Starting off with night vision, you're a fox you can see in the night. Right after I flipped it back to day 2. I mean, I don't think I really need to point this out too much. As you can clearly see, I've set the time to midnight. My vision is basically perfect. We flick back to day, you probably might notice that the only thing that actually changes is the shadows on the objects from my shaders. That's it. Weak, you only have 9 hearts. It's 9 hearts instead of 10, meaning 18 hit points rather than 20. Limited diet, you can only eat steak, chicken, glowberries, and sweet berries. If we flick over to the food tab over here, as you can see, a lot of foods that we have in here have got a brackets, inevitable, limited diet, specifying the ability. This is a useful thing that was added at some point in Origins. I believe it was 1.18 or 1.19 they added this. That just makes it a lot easier to understand what you can and cannot eat. As you can see, chicken, cooked chicken is fine, but you can't have raw chicken. Steak is fine, but you can't have raw beef. Pork chops off the menu, so is mutton, so is rabbit, you know, all the other fun stuff. But hey, there's glowberries and sweet berries that are also up for the option. Unlike most Origins, though, you're also unable to eat golden apples or enchanted golden apples. But you can still eat cake, as always. Nimble, you can move swiftly to escape. I'm sure you can tell, I have got some major speed. I mean, if you want a direct comparison, let's just flick back to a human real quick. I mean, you can see my FOV completely shrunk, and now we're moving so much slower than what we were before. Here we have the Moonborn and the Sunborn Origin. I'm going to talk about them combined very briefly because they both evolve into the Eclipse Origin just by different methods. Let's go through the Moonborn first. It's got the evolve key at the top here, but we'll get back to that. Durable, you don't take fall damage. This is pretty self-explanatory. We rise up and we fall and we take no damage. Moon Surge, during night, not underground, you gain speed and resistance. So unlike other things where it's just clarifying being in dark things, whoa, okay, you actually have to specifically be in the time frame of night in order to get these boosts. And as you can see, we've got almost regular Minecraft speed here. We also have resistance. So we still take about 1.5 hearts of damage from a husk. That resistance doesn't seem to be doing much. Yeah, speeding up. You supposedly have some resistance, but that husk did the same 1.5 hearts of damage it's been doing to every other Origin, so who knows. Moon's glow. During the day, you glow a purplish color. Let's flick back to time set the day. Yeah, as you can see, I've got a glow effect around my character that if I flick back to midnight, you see completely vanish from me. I also think I understand what that resistance is supposed to mean. It's not actually the effective resistance. At nighttime, you have 6 hearts, but when you go at daytime, you have 6 hearts, but at nighttime, you have 8 hearts, giving you 2 additional hearts whenever it's nighttime. Shadow, you're born from darkness. You are slightly black and transparent. I wouldn't say slightly. My skin's got a dark black over the entire color of the skin. Though maybe it just looks worse because I'm also transparent at the same time. But hey, a newborn, you only have 8 hearts. Self-explained already. Lunar Drift, at night, not underground, you gain night vision. Again, you can clearly see the night vision in effect here. It's nighttime, and I can see crystal clear. As you can see underneath the tree here, we've got regular speed. We've got our typical 8 hearts, but the moment we jump out into the day, we lose a whole heart, going down to 6. And as you can see, our speed is significantly decreased. If I roll back to the tree here, we can see I regain the heart after a moment or two, as well as my speed goes back to normal. Eclipse, you can evolve by consuming glowstone. Your hunger needs to be low. When you have the glowstone in your hand, all you do is press right click. And as you can see here, my hunger is about halfway, but this is enough to evolve into the Eclipse Origin. It gives you an additional 2 chunks of food, as well as gets you max saturation to the current hunger that you currently have. It also turns you into the Eclipsebound Origin, but hold your horses. There's one more Origin we've got to run through before we even allowed to discuss the evolved variations of them, and that is the Sunborn. You're a child of the sun. You can evolve by consuming a block that is formed when water and lava combine. Bam. Jumping into the Sunborn, you're durable, you don't take fall damage, exactly the same as the Moonball. I kind of need to flick out of creative. No fall damage. Solar Surge during the daytime, but not direct sunlight. You gain speed and resistance. Unlike with the other ability from the Moonborn, this one just takes in general effect at all times when it's daytime. The ability does say not in direct sunlight, but I don't notice any formidable difference between when I'm roaming through these trees underneath them versus when I'm out here underneath the sunlight directly. But hey, it's additional speed, the same amount as before from the Moonborn, and if I get hit by this husk here, it's still doing the same amount of damage as it did to the Moonborn. Resistance? What resistance? I don't even notice it. The glow. During the night, you glow goldish color. We go to third person here, and then we go time, set, the midnight. As you can see, we're a lot less transparent than we were before, and we've got a golden glow around our character. Shadow, you're born from the light, you're slightly white and transparent. Same thing as a Moonborn, just except of a black layering over the top of your skin, it's a white layering over the top of your skin. It looks mostly the same throughout the day, depending on your angles. Well, at least with my shaders on, but it's far more noticeable the difference when you flick to nighttime, because now it's darker around you, you stand out a lot more, especially considering you're glowing. Avoid sickness. At night, you lose 2 hearts. This also combines with the newborn. You only have 8 hearts. Throughout the day, you have 8 total hearts, but whenever it is nighttime, that's daytime. Whenever it's nighttime, you go down to 6 hearts in a similar fashion as the Moonborn goes down to 6 in the day out in the sun. But if we flick to day real quick and then go to spectator mode and go into a cave somewhere, there's a mine shaft over there. That's pretty neat. So let's roam over here. We go to survival mode here. As you can see, even though I'm in the dark, I still have my full 8 hearts. That's because it's daytime out there. If I then flick it to midnight out there, my health will still drop in spite of the fact that I am not out in the dark in any capacity. Furthermore, onto that, you might have noticed another ability is Star. At night, not when underground, you gain night vision. I'm currently underground, and I currently have night vision, but that's because it's nighttime out there. If we roll back underground briefly, and then we flick it back to time, set, day, as you can see, that night vision goes completely because it's now daytime. I don't need that. Who, me be underground throughout the night? Throughout the day? That's crazy. And Eclipse. You can evolve by consuming obsidian. Your hunger needs to be low. I mean, hunger being low doesn't seem to be a thing that particularly matters when it comes to the evolving, because even though I was only missing 2 chunks of hunger and still had a significant amount of saturation, I was still able to consume the obsidian to evolve. Anyway, let's talk about Eclipsebound, a 3-impact origin. You're a child of both sun and void, bound to the moment where light dies and shadows bloom. Totality. You can evolve again by consuming the darkness, light level 0 and less or equal to 1 heart. We'll get back to that. Durability, you don't take fall damage. Again, another ability that carries over from both the Moonborn and the Sunborn Origin. Eclipse Surge, during the day and night, exposed to the sky, you'll gain 2 times speed, 2 times resistance, and 1 additional health point. Or 1 heart. If I go underneath these trees, I'll probably be able to understand what that actually meant. Yes, by 1 heart. So when out in the sun, you have a total of 10 hearts. You also have double speed bonuses, and your resistance is doubled. Something tells me this really only affects when you actually have armor, which is kind of funny to think about, because I'm still taking the same amount of damage, so yeah. Energize eclipses channel energy, so you have 9 total hearts. If we flick back underneath a tree for a real quick. There it is. We have a total of 9 hearts, or 18 hit points, rather than the usual 10, but more than the 8 hearts that the Sunborn and Moonborn origins have at their peak. Lunar Drift. At night, but not underground, you gain night vision. Same thing as before, you gain night vision at night. This does not occur when you're underground throughout the day, but only when you're underground at night time, because it's attached to the day-night cycle and not the light level around you. Sun's glow and moon's glow. During the night, you glow a white color, and during the night, you glow a black color. We flick over here, I'm glowing with a black outline around me, but if we flick over to nighttime, as you can see, I've now got a white outline around me, which also has a black outline outside of that because glow. Eclipse, you thrive in the dark and thrive in the light. You're slightly transparent. The other two abilities are kind of explained by other abilities, but as you can see, we're still carrying over our transparent shenanigans from both the Sunborn and Moonborn Origin, but unlike those origins, we don't have a color layer that's also over the top of our skin. It's just our default skin, transparent. Okay, that doesn't work outside. Let's see, can I find that cave from earlier? Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay, so in order to transform, you'll need to have a blank hand and be right-clicking when you're taking damage. And you also will need to be underground to some degree. You can't be outside in the broadness like this because it does not match the correct light level. As far as I could tell there, it's very difficult to test this properly because I don't have direct ways to put me down to 1 heart correctly because these stupid hearts are doing 1.5 hearts. Anyway. But as you would have seen with me playing around before, I couldn't get it to activate when I was in the overworld, but the moment I hit underground and went down to 1 heart, I was able to activate it, and then died briefly afterwards. But we've jumped over to the Yin-Yang Origin, another 3-impact origin. When light and shadow reach equilibrium, you stepped beyond them. No longer bound by cycles, you become the Eclipse Eternal, a sovereign of stillness, a master of the void between seconds. Past those abilities, which are pretty much, this is the Eclipse Origin with 2 additional things, Yin and Yang. First off, you're immune to fire. We roll over to the lava over here. As you can see, we're still taking damage from... No, we're not taking damage from it. We don't take damage from it. It says immune to fire, but it also means lava in this case here. Also, quite funky. You hop into lava. Give it a moment. You'll lose the eclipse boost thing because it no longer counts you as being exposed to the sky. I don't know how that works, but you know, that's a thing that exists there. And Yang, you deal 2 extra hearts of damage. I would assume this operates far much like the... Okay, that was no crits there. Can I not get crit hits? Why can't I get crit hits? I don't know, but I'm not allowed to, apparently. Okay, so it does seem like it'd be the same damage boost as other origins in this pack get before you, though for some reason I just couldn't crit hit. I don't know if this is a quirk with the origin itself, but I'm not crit hitting, even though I'm making sure to land the hit with a full charge as I'm falling, which is usually the pretense for a crit hit, but I'm not getting them. So I don't quite understand that bit here. That might be a bug with this origin, because it's not specified as a thing that happens. Might be some quirks with other things going on. But hey, you deal additional damage, which is to the same level as the Genocide Origin does, as well as the Subspaced Origin. Keep in mind, if you do go swap origins, you will lose the evolutions that you've currently done on both the Sunborn and Moonborn, and be forced to go back to the base version. And if you right-click on an origin orb, you can no longer back out of this option. You're kind of forced stucking going into a new origin. And that was the Astralis Origin pack. What do you think of it? It's quite interesting to me. There are some weird bugs and quirks here. I did try to test some of these things in Forge, as you would have seen, but these bugs seem to be present in both. It could either be some quirks with the actual Origin add-on itself, or maybe just some quirks with it interacting with the Origin mod, as that has been kind of a thing that's existed a little bit now in more recent versions, where because of how much Minecraft Java modding shenanigans has changed in the past few updates. I mean, heck, soon they're going to completely de-obfuscate the code, so it's going to be all there. That will lead to some crazy shenanigans once that gets processed properly by the community. It's leading to some weird quirks. But hey, did you enjoy this video? If you did, leave a like down below. Maybe subscribe. Maybe suggest this to the creator of this origin as maybe a cool video to put on his page. Or not. I'm not your father or parent. Until next time. Bye-bye.